Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Jason. I'm a Course in Miracles student and a channeler. And today, what I've come on to do is to bring a daily dose of hope. This is Daily Dose of Hope, day eight. Sorry, and I was guided to come on and bring a daily dose of hope as the waves of energy are starting to increase more and more. And please forgive the sound of my cat in the background. She really wants to come in, but once she comes in, she wants to go out again. um, okay, so what I want to talk about, I want to talk about two things today. First thing is want to talk about um, what we think we are like and what how people perceive us. That's number one, and then number two, I want to talk a little bit more about the gap. Um, Idea from the Course in Miracles, and then I'd like to just channel. Okay, so first of all, I was thinking about this today. I write music. So right at the moment, I'm writing this big piece that I've been working on for the whole year, and it's a big old string quartet. And I was writing today, and I was thinking, when I'm writing, usually I'll have staff paper, and I'll be writing on the desk, and then every once in a while I'll go to the piano, and then I'll start whistling something, and I'll be singing something, and to me, I'm hearing everything in my head. I'm hearing this whole piece and how it's going to move around, and this is going to happen. But people on the outside, people in the house, if they're listening to it, all they hear is just these little snippets of just melodies, and that just doesn't go anywhere. It just keeps repeat. I probably keep repeating the same short little motif or little melody like maybe 1,000 times because I'm trying to in my head. I'm hearing it many many different ways, but if you just hear me playing it, it just sounds like diddling, 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 like that. And just I'm sure people listening are like, "What is he doing in there? What is he up to?" Right? And I'd never really thought about that before. Um, because in my mind, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the whole thing, and it's really beautiful. I'm at the concert. I'm listening to the how it's the counterpoint is working, and but for people around me, all they hear is just this. I'm just mumbling. I'm saying like this, so they can't hear what's in my head. But I never really realized that. In a sense, I thought everyone could hear the music that I'm hearing in my head. Not that I believed that, but I just never thought of it. I just thought, oh yeah, of course they can hear it, but they can't. And just reminded me of a lot of times our image of ourselves is very very different from the image that other people have of us, and so that's a very interesting idea. I think that and to be aware of that, to be aware of, I think it's important to be aware of how you come off and how yeah. So that was the one thing I wanted to talk about. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is this gap idea in the Course in Miracles. And the gap idea is, I was talking about this, I think it was yesterday, where there's the idea that we are all one. We're all brothers. We're all connected, and we're all one. But we perceive this gap in between us. We perceive this gap, and if so, for example, we perceive that we're a body, and we perceive we're a body that can get sick or something like that, and so that is what we perceive. And so once we perceive that, we are separate. And if you look at that separation, for example, if someone, for example, is feeling sick or is sick, and if you see them as being sick, then you are reinforcing that sickness. You are reinforcing their belief in that sickness. But if you actually see them and try to see them as who they truly are, as just like this amazing being of light, then you're not reinforcing that, but you are reinforcing the fact that you're connected, and that is one of the secrets to healing. And so I wanted to talk about this gap a little bit more, because what I believe it to be is that this gap is the whole concept of chaos. That there, I think, there's two choices in this planet, on this earth. There's love or fear, and so there's the love energy or fear, which is chaos, the chaos energy, and the chaos energy is what um, our media works on. A lot of the things that are happening, a lot of the things that are advertised in our media, all of the wars, all of the diseases, and all of these things, it's just chaos energy. It's just energy that puts us into a state of fear. um, but it doesn't exist, and it even doesn't exist on this. planet as well. It's just that we are believing in it and we're creating it, but we don't have to create that. And that the truth is, we are just beings of light. So I wanted to talk about this energy. Hold on. So here we go. You have conceived a little. I'm reading from chapter 28 of the Course of Miracles, The Undoing of Fear, chapter 5 and verse 4. You have conceived a little gap between illusions and the truth to be the place where your safety lies, and where yourself is safely hidden by what you have made. Here is a world established that is sick, and this is the world the body's eyes perceive. Here are the sounds it hears, the voices that it hears were made to hear. Yet sights and sounds the body can perceive are meaningless. It cannot see nor hear. It does not know what seeing is, what listening is for. It is as little able to perceive as it can judge or understand or know. Its eyes are blind, its ears are deaf. It cannot think, and so it cannot have effects. What is there God created to be sick? And what is that he created not can be? What is there God created to be sick? And what that he created not can be? Let not your eyes behold a dream, your ears bear witness to illusion. They were made to look upon a world that is not there, to hear the voices that can make no sound. Yet are there other sounds and other sights that can be seen and heard and understood. For ears and eyes are senses without sense, and what they see and hear they but report. It is not that they hear and see, but you who put together every jagged piece, each senseless scrap and shred of evidence, and make a witness to the world you want. Let not the body's eyes and ears perceive these countless fragments seen within the gap that you imagined, and let them persuade their maker his imaginings are real. Creation proves reality because it shares the function all creation shares. It is not made of little bits of glass, a piece of wood, a thread or two, perhaps all put together to attest its truth. Reality does not depend on this. There is no gap that separates the truth from dreams and from illusions. Truth has left no room for them in any place or time, for it fills every place and every time and makes them wholly visible, indivisible. You who believe there is a little gap between you and your brother do not see that it is here you are as prisoners in a world perceived to be existing here. The world you see does not exist because the place where you perceive it is not real. The gap is carefully concealed in fog, and misty pictures rise to cover it with vague, uncertain forms and changing shapes, forever unsubstantial and unsure. Yet in the gap is nothing. And there are no awesome secrets and no darkened tombs where terror rises from the bones of death. Look at the little gap, and you will behold the innocence and emptiness of sin that you will see within yourself. And when you have lost the fear of within yourself, when you have lost the fear of recognizing love. So yeah. So this idea that we are looking at this gap and imagining that there's something there, but there's really nothing there. And it reminds me of that movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I think was a year or two ago, where there was at the end this kind of void, this vortex that was kind of sucking everything in. And I'm sure that that was the void energy, and the void energy has no energy for itself, so it needs us to put our energy into it, to believe into it. And I think that's what that was showing, that without our support, without our we are the creators of this world, and without our support it won't exist, it can't exist. And that's the whole secret to all of this fear and all of this anger, everything that you're watching in the news, all that kind of stuff. We're just feeding it. And if we stop feeding it, it'll just fall apart because it has no power on its own. We are the power. And so that's the idea. But I'm very interested there. I think it's very interesting how the Course of Miracles talks about this idea, so that we can learn about our true power and understanding, that we don't have to give our power to these things. And that even for myself watching the news, I actually don't really watch the TV news because there's too much going on. There's too much subliminal stuff going on, and the music that they play is very dark. If you actually listen to it, like truly listen to it, not passively, but if you listen to it, you can hear the fear and the chaos energy in the music. I mean, it's masterful in a sense the way that they do it. But it's very, if you're not paying attention, it can really put you in a state of fear. Like I found myself just passively, it was on in the corner and it just came into my mind. And I thought, oh, woof, where did this fear come from? Yeah, it came from the TV. Um, they're very masterful at doing that because they need it. That's how they survive. They need the fear. Without the fear, that it won't exist. And so, yeah, but when I do, for example, look at different news narratives that are going on around the world, um, I have to always step back and try to forgive and try to understand where this narrative is going and for what reason it's going, and understand too that I, as a contributor to the whole narrative, and you, as a contributor to the narrative, can change it as well. We don't have to accept it like that. We can be like the script writers. That's very interesting, but you know what I do? I take this person out and I change this and I do this, and you can do that. And that's fun too, because you're reality making, you're reality creating. You're not just accepting something as it is, and you're seeing maybe where it's coming from. You're seeing the line. This is there to create this emotion in us so that this might happen and then this might happen. But if you're not triggered by it, then you can kind of step out of it and say, oh, that's interesting. But you know what I'm going to change? I'm going to change this. I'm going to change that a little bit. I'm going to upload that into the mass consciousness. And so that's how it works. And that's what I think what we're in at this moment is world creation. We are at this moment storytellers, and we're realizing our power to create the story as well. And what a beautiful thing. So, and I've rambled on a bit. So I'm going to channel and see who comes through for our daily dose of hope, day 8. Here we go. Greetings. We are that one that you know of as Bach. We are that composer that you know of as Bach. And we have come today to speak through this being, as very few are speaking. Use very few are channeling us at this moment, and we'd like to come through though, as this being and I have a very, very deep and strong connection that has gone back through many, many lifetimes, many different generations. We have played different roles for each other. And what we would say, first of all, in this time that you're in, is a very, very interesting time for all of you. Um, Now, in my time, this was a similar time in the sense that there was a forgetfulness that came about in my time. I came from a different time. You see, the time that I was in my lifetime, uh, is not the whole story. The time that I came from a different time. Well, not necessarily time travel, but I came from a different civilization. There was a civilization that exists and that does exist in your history books, but it is put aside as something non-important, and there is not much talked about it. There are not many books that are written about it. But from that civilization is where I came, and there was a forgetfulness, a willing forgetfulness of that civilization, the new civilization that emerged in my time, the age of enlightenment at that time, was attempting to get rid of that old civilization. And so most of the books went into hiding. Most of the knowledge was hidden, and only a few were able to access that knowledge. There was quite a lot of amazing knowledge, you might say, from the time, and which is very similar to your time as well, because you are in a time, there was a civilization before your civilization that was grand and wonderful and built many beautiful things. And then you came into your civilization, and that civilization needed to be forgotten. Why did it need to be forgotten? Because the rulers at the time decided that that was necessary. So you are dealing with a lost history, as I was dealing with a lost history. Although in my case, I came directly from that civilization. So my music, the music that I wrote, was directly from that civilization. And that is why it is so different from the music of my peers. because at the time they weren't really my peers. These were people trying to imitate what I was doing. They did not have the education that I did at that time. In my civilization, the previous civilization, the education was quite advanced, and even musically advanced. We were studying the physics of the music, and we were studying how everything worked. And so a lot of the inventions, for example, the well-tempered clavier, this was something that was already mastered in my civilization. We had mastered all of the different scales and all of these different ideas. This was not a new idea. It was just a reintroduction of this idea. I was just reintroducing this because I was just one. I was just one. Well, I wasn't just one. There were a few of us, and we just took on the title of Bach, and Bach meaning that we were bringing the music from another civilization into this civilization, but we did not have the scaffolding. We did not have all of the devices that we could not bring them. All we could bring was what was in our minds and what was in our hearts. And so we attempted to recreate this in our time in what is called the Age of Enlightenment. But yes, that is what we were doing. We were recreating this time, and this is what you are doing at this moment. There are those of you who have memories of this civilization. And as this being has also talked about, he has been seeing glimpses of this civilization behind the civilization that you have at the moment. Because this civilization, you might say, is just waiting in the wings. You have this concept of ascension, and this is similar to this idea that this civilization, this wonderful civilization where uh, everything works together, that you are able to be happy and you're able to pursue happiness. And so this is the civilization, this is the concept that you're moving forward to, you're moving towards, and you're reclaiming your rights as sovereign beings, your ability to pursue happiness and not to be controlled by any forces that are outside of you, that you have, as we learned in our civilization, that there are the only rules that there are the rules of God, that are the rules of love. And if you follow your heart and you follow love, then that is the pathway to creating a true and wonderful civilization. And so that was where we came from, and this is where you are at the moment. And so we wanted to come through to express this idea to you, that you are capable of amazing and wonderful things, and that a lot of these things, what we might say, are being kept secret. Yeah. And that is how we'll say it. Just like in my civilization, things were kind of kept secret, but there are those who have those secrets, that retain the secrets of the previous civilizations, and they're waiting for the time to release these more and more, when more and more people are ready. See, at this moment, a lot of what we would say is a lot of people in your society are starting to become aware. They're starting to become aware of the box that they were living in, and that in that box that there is so much more, and they would like so much more out of their lives. And this is a wonderful time. This is the time when you are asking, and so the people that are creating the box are realizing that, and they realize that they really have no choice but to show you, because your power is starting to show, and they cannot hold that power over you anymore. Once you realize your true power, once you realize your true power, then there is no power that can hold power over you, because you are so much more powerful than everything, and you are the power source. You are the one that is activating and animating everything that you see. And so this is something that you're coming to, and this is why we wanted to come out now to talk about this. We have been working with this being. We work with him when he writes his music. We try not to interfere too much. We try just to guide and help him along. And so this is why we came through today. We have been working with him all day. We've been struggling together to complete this musical work. And so that is all I wanted to say to you. I wanted to come through to you, and I wanted to say that you are doing amazing work. All of you are doing amazing work. Keep up this amazing work, remembering your true history, remembering your true power. I am Bach. Mm. All right. Yep. All right. So Bach came through today. I think that's the second time, only the second time I've channeled Bach. Um, when I was 14, I was playing the piano, and I fell asleep on the piano bench. If you can believe that, I don't know how that happened, but I fell asleep on the piano bench, and I had this dream, and in the dream I was writing music like Bach. And ever since that time, that's what I realized. Oh, I want to be a composer. I want to write music. And but ever since I started channeling, he's come through, and he helps me when I compose. I wish he would help me more. I mean, it'd be wonderful if he could just come down and help me more, but oh well. But anyway, that's my spiel for today. That's my story. Yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and yeah, ciao.